Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, perfect. So let's wait. Oh yeah, we are just in time. So
Yes.
now in 45 minutes we will tell you everything about Microsoft 365 governance and compliance. Well, of course it's not like this, but it's going to be a nice introduction to it, and it will be for the ones who haven't seen some of the products and features here. It will be a good introduction. For the ones who have already seen it, it will be a good refreshment. So what we want to do, want to get acquainted you and introduce to you the Microsoft 365 governance and compliance features. Obviously, governance and compliance is a huge topic, right? So we won't be able to tell everything. That's why the session is called Getting Started with Microsoft 365 Governance and Compliance. The point is to get an overview of the current features, what's out there, to get you acquainted with it, and actually to urge you and to induce you to use different features that are out there that you might not know about and that are very very useful in governing and managing your data and actually to stay compliant. I hope you're enjoying this in the Cloud Security Summit. This year it's really well organized, very nice conference. A lot of different speakers, a lot of different extremely well speakers, good speakers, well, extremely good topics. It's a 1 day virtual event, hands-on sessions by experts, community leaders. Also, make sure that you stay till then because you can win some very exciting prizes. It's about 3 tracks. We have Azure Security Compliance. We have Microsoft 365 Security Compliance. This track. We have Power Platform and Endpoint Security. So a lot of things to see and do. Please stay here until the end. And we have a lot to talk about. We have also quite decent number of slides, of course, but we also have a demo as well. So I'll open the portal and then guide you through all the things that are there, and we'll eventually learn and have fun. So anyway, my name is Sasha. I'm also proud sponsor of the Cloud Security Summit and also CEO of Cloud Tech as well. Microsoft Regional Director and Microsoft Security MVP and Azure MVP. But I have been involved with computers since late 80s and worked with almost every Windows version and product, but also worked with Azure since the beta phase. Has been going on 10 plus years and even more. Also knowing security and cloud architecture, cloud security as well. And here are the links to visit if you're interested. So anyway, let's go over a couple of topics and see compliance governance features. And actually, I already have opened the portal to guide you through these couple of things that we're gonna see here. Anyway, Microsoft 365 compliance. There are some big challenges today in terms of compliance and regulations. So, evolving number of regulations that are there, the huge piles of data that we are dealing daily with. Then it's not just about the huge amount of data that we have today, but it's also the amount of data that is constantly increasing. Plus, then we have a lot of different locations where the data is, and the struggle is today where to find the data, and when we find it, then it's the struggle how to classify, how to contain the data, how to regulate the data, how to prevent the data leaks, how to control the influx of data and outgoing of the data, how to control all these things, how to manage the data lifecycle, because we are certainly working in a regulated industry, or working for someone that is working in the regulated industry. That means that automatically these regulations and laws apply to us as well, whether it's GDPR, whether it's whatever it is, national laws and regulations. we certainly have one type, for example, medical records or banking records or I don't know, private emails or whatever it is that we deal with private information that we have to manage, and the data lifecycle is here very important. And then the problem is how to classify the data, because it's not every data is the same. Not every data needs to be protected at the same level. Not every data needs to have the same level of protection. And regulation also deal with how we actually regulate the data, how we retain the data, and so on. And then again, there are different types of risks that are associated with it. So not, for example, the risk is one of the biggest risks today. Some of the researchers say that the insider risk is like 70% of the is the reason behind the 70% of the data leaks today. Which is, I don't want to argue about that, but it's certainly a huge number. Even if it's 50%, it's way over. And then also mistreated data, not knowing where the data is. That includes also insider risk, deliberate and just accidental leakage, and so on. So there are a lot of challenges. But fortunately, we have a lot of things in Microsoft 365 ecosystem that will help us with that. And it is not only one product that will make our data more secure, more classified, more governed. There are a lot of tools that cover different areas. So in ideal world, we will have all the licenses and protect the data on all the planes. Unfortunately, because of the economic reasons or practical reasons or personnel reasons, we can't have that. But still, it's good to know what tools are there, what to use, and what are the uses of these tools, features, and so on. So we'll see about some about these. And there are a lot of concerns today. For example, these are just some numbers that are emerged a couple of years ago. Of course, there is always, when we do the research, and when the research is published, then always it takes a couple of months or years to do so. And then we always present the bodies that have done these research always present these numbers. It's not about the numbers, exact numbers. Don't get to the exact number, but the most concerning point is that these numbers actually increase every year. So whatever these were in the past, today are much bigger. So a lot of daily updates from over 1,000 regulatory bodies worldwide. That was a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Then there are more and more, because we have more and more daily updates. We have more regulatory bodies. The amount of data is expected to double, more than double every 2 years. So it is huge, and that is true here as well. 54, what is 54 or 30 or 70, the number of these organizations are bigger today. Even if it's 30, it's too much. I would say even if 5% it's too much, because if it's you within this 5%, then there will be trouble. So not having visibility into risk within the organization it's a trouble. You don't want to be between these 54 or even between these 5, whatever it is. So in manual things today, it's very hard today, very hard to do, because of the numbers and of the reasons that you can see on that slide. So amount of data expecting to double every 2 years. So if you have 4 terabytes, then it's 8, then it's 16, then it's 32, and it goes over and over. So it's a very comprehensive, very complex situation. And nobody is actually thinking about the governance and compliance until something happens, until some company actually goes bankrupt, until some company actually has data leaks, until some company has lost some contracts with the clients or with the government because of their not adhering to regulations. So it's very important to have that as well. Today, intelligent, compliant, and risk management solution exist in Microsoft 365. So there is Microsoft in a unique position to help with more intelligent compliance and risk management solutions. Of course, compliance can have different meanings to various teams across enterprise, and compliance actually is an outcome of continuous risk management, right? And involving compliance, legality, risk, privacy, and security. It's everything is included in here, and IT and often also even human resource actually and finance teams, which requires integrated approach to manage risk, are included in compliance and in an outcome of that. So the base pillar compliance management is about simplifying risk assessment and mitigation in more automated way, providing visibility and insights to help meet compliance requirements. Then you have information protection and governance. Then there's a huge opportunity for us to help our customers to know their data better, because the amount of the data that is growing and the location that are growing. Now we have Microsoft Purview, we have Azure Purview, especially for that. So a solution to help us to find out where the data actually resides. And then we are here to help protect governed data throughout the life cycle in heterogeneous environments. So it is often the key starting point of many of our customers in their modern compliance journey. So knowing what sensitive data they have, also putting flexible and user-friendly policies for both security and compliance outcomes, and using more automation and intelligence. So it's about not using decreasing manual labor and then increasing automatic classification, automatic management, and so on. So we have internal risk management as well. So internal risks are often what keeps business leaders up at night, and that's true. So regardless of negligent or malicious or identifying or being able to take action on internal risks, actually, this is a very critical thing to do. So the ability to quickly, in fact, identify and manage risk from insiders. It is whether these are contractors or employers or guest accounts or anyone who has, for example, corporate access. It's about minimizing negative impact on corporate compliance, competitive business positions, and brand reputation, and that's priority. So it's of course, it's not just about the current one; it's about the future customers as well, which that will look upon us and say, okay, this company is not governing or protecting data. I don't want to put my data in, or I don't want to do any contracts with this company because something will leak eventually. So you don't want to happen that to happen. And last but not least, and discover and respond actually is the capability to being able to discover relevant data for internal investigations. In fact, litigation regulatory requests, respond to them efficiently. So doing so without actually having to use multiple solutions, moving data in and out of systems to increase the data risk, that's critical to do. So we have, let's see a couple of these pillars. So information protection, compliance management, and so let's go a little bit in more in detail in each of these pillars. So information protection and governance, we've said it, the amount of data is expected to more than double every 2 years. I think that period also is shortening a little bit every year. So it probably is not every 2 years, it's every 11 months or 10 months or even less every year. So at the end, we end up in doubling the data every 6 months. I'm eager to see and just curious to see what will the next week's reports will be. But definitely the amount of data that we dealing with, it's not going to be less, but exactly the opposite. So discovering the data and managing data is challenging. So all of these organizations no longer have, for example, confidence to detect and prevent loss of sensitive data, and so on. So information protection and governance is actually protecting the information, governing the data wherever it is. Exponential growth of data, actually blurring of traditional organization boundaries and acceleration is more than challenging. So this is the life cycle of protection and governance, which is in fact from left to right is how we do it. And fortunately, M365 is here, Microsoft 365 is here with its features and products to help us do that, discover our data, where the data is, because you can't protect the data effectively if you don't where the data is. Whether it's on OneDrive, whether it's on Dropbox, or I don't know where it might be. It doesn't matter. So you can't protect the data if you don't know where it is. And in fact, when you discover where the data is, then you have to figure out and triage the data and actually figure out what are the critical assets, what are the assets that are not so critical. So not every piece of data will have the same amount of protection, right? Because you would treat very sensitive contracts, for example, or employee data, or banking information, or any I don't know, some patents or proprietary data, very critical. You will protect them more closely and more strictly. You will even decrease the surface of the amount of people who will actually have access to that data. Not every employee will have access to very sensitive data and contracts, for example, or banking information, financial information. So that's not these type of documents are not protected in the same way as for example, some internal memo that is about, I don't know, whatever, food or whatever it is. Drinks in the company. And then we can, when we know where the data is, when we know the levels of the data, when we know the differences between that, we can apply some protection. We can prevent data loss in different varied reasons, actually ways, whether it's DLP or information protection. Labeling is here to help us. So we are putting the labels on, actually assessing what kind of data we have, and then we can govern the data, whatever product and feature we have. So information protection is here, whether it's Microsoft information protection or Purview information protection. In fact, we'll just skip a little bit over it, because you already know what that is. It's about figuring out what kind of data you have, putting a label into it, and then using different methods to protect the data and to govern the data, whether it's retention, whether it's making the policy who will have the access and how, what kind of access that will be, and else. So this intelligent classification here is also capable. For example, we have trainable classifiers that can extract data match, and when or manual labor will be decreased, and automatically a huge amount of data, piles of data that we actually have, will be classified at once without us intervening. We are just overseeing that. And then built-in labeling and protection experience in Office apps, Office 365 services, other Microsoft services, for example, like Power BI, Edge, Windows are also supported as well. DLP for not just for Teams, but for everywhere. Will also automatically block messages, and we have this unified classification engine that actually supports not 90 plus, but actually even more today. These numbers are increasing. It doesn't matter the number that we have. These are just starting points. We need to reuse these that are available, but also use our own and create our own, for example. DLP for Teams can be quickly deployed to automatically block messages that, for example, contain sensitive information. And we can also help educate users to protect critical data in this part. The end user don't have to be IT gurus, and they don't have to have a very vast IT knowledge. We just need to inform end users how to use that. How to behave actually, and what to share, what not to share, what is good to share, and what is not good to share. And a little bit of education is always good. And we have information governance in Microsoft. Then where we have in-place management, we have automated policy that govern these patterns. In governed data at scale with pattern recognition, with trainable classifiers as well. And in fact, We have also defensible disposition, audit trails, records management capabilities, and so on. This is just one, for example, one way how can we classify government data and records intelligently. So we have automated, we have manual way, we have policy to retain the data. So automated can be based, for example, on location, SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange, etc., etc. We extract the data, actually see the different content types from the files can be taken into account, metadata and properties of the file, so we can take advantage of these keywords as well, whether it's, I don't know, project 2 or project A, B, C, or X, Y, Z. Then we have out of the box and more than hundreds and 200s of sensitive information types. Of course, you will. My suggestion is that you use 5 to 10 per department. Organization-wide, you can have, for example, like 500 or 1,000. But departmental type, well, suggestion is that you don't use more than 5 up to 10 sensitive info types per department. Roughly 95% of the companies will use these numbers. Why 10? Because if you have 100 per department, let's say you are financial department or HR department, if you as an admin create hundreds of labels, different labels, then it is too granular, too much granularity is there, so you won't be able to, so the end user school or machines actually, you as an admin won't be able to create such a granular policies and labels to apply to documents. So maybe your industry has something like this, but it will be extremely difficult to do that. So roughly 10 is okay, because 10 is classifiable, more easily manageable, and you can more easily put the data into 10 categories rather than into 100. So if it's needed, then you have the possibility to do so, but it's not suggested to do so. So that's what we have to do. And let's go over the slides, and we can also set the demo as well. And then we have also the ability to use the trainable classifiers, well, where these trainable classifiers will actually take the type of the document that we want to classify, and classify based on things that we based on the policy that we created. And then classification can be done also to retain the data and specify the retention period, or different actions after the retention period, and so on. So the enforcement point also can be when it was created, last modified, labeled, and so on. Then we have the insider risk management. That insider risk management is, in fact, internal risks are often actually what keeps these business leaders up at night, for example, and trusting the employees is key to fostering dynamic workplace and actually increasing productivity. But also with the trust comes also a risk. So regardless of what like I said, of being negligent or malicious at identifying and actually being able to take action on internal risk are critical. So ability to quickly identify and manage risk from insiders, and minimizing the negative impact, it's a priority, right? And as I mentioned, over half of organizations actually say they're worried about knowing where the data is. Without visibility and tools to discover, we won't be able to do that. Broad range of risk and violations from insiders. We know that from our experience that it's hard to maintain trust without the right visibility, process, and control. However, the effort actually to identify these risks and violations is not simple and is not trivial. So for example, let's think about the number of people accessing resources and communicating with each other, and actually the natural cycle of people entering and leaving the company. How do you intelligently, in fact, how can you determine what's an intentional or unintentional risk or action, for example? How do you achieve this level of visibility and while aligning to the cultural, legal, and privacy requirements. For example, truly malicious insiders do things in such an intentional as stealing your intellectual property, for example, turning off security controls or hashing others at work. But there are actually more situations, many more situations in which an insider might actually not even know that they are causing risk to the organization or violating policy. So that's why we have to be very sensitive about that and very specific. So, well, for example, like when they're excited about something, they knew they're working and send files or photos to tell about it. That's also something that we have to deal with that as well. Inside risk management, we'll see also a few environments, how it looks like in live. It leverages actually the Microsoft Graph and other services to obtain the real-time native signals across Office, signals across Windows, signals across Azure, including file activity, communication, sentiment about normal user behavior. Additional third-party signals from HR assistants, for example, can be included there as well via an API level integration. And for example, we have a set of very robust configurable playbooks, for example, that are tailored specifically to for risks like digital IP theft or confidentiality breach or potential security violations and so on. So let's go over some other things that we have here. Communication compliance. We have communication compliance is actually a solution that helps organization address code of conduct policy violations in company communications. There we have also, and in turn also this helps organizations in regulated industries to meet their specific regulatory compliance, supervisory compliance requirements as well. This supports actually a number of company communication channels, including Skype, Business Online, Exchange, email, Teams, Twitter, Facebook, Bloomberg, instant messages, etc., etc. The point is, we have now a possibility to provide granularity in identifying specific words and phrases, out-of-the-box machine learning models actually that will identify threats, harassment, profanities, etc. And also you can build your own trainable classifiers that understand meaning and context that are unique to your organization need, for example, like insider trading or unethical practices, and then you're actually you will actually have less false positives using that. Once a violation actually in communication compliance has been flagged and the designated supervisor actually is alerted, then it's important actually that we review that process to enable to efficiently act on these violations, which might be not intentional but just occasional. And also includes features. The communication compliance actually includes features about historical user context on past violations and conversation threading, keyword highlighting, and so on. There's of course interactive dashboard that we will see, and so on. Again, we have privileged access management. That is exactly, it works same everywhere. So whether it's Azure, whether it's Microsoft 365, it's to protect customers' data and reduce risk. So which is actually complementary to the encryption capabilities. So we can also control privileged access by Microsoft Service engineers and administrators as well, which includes also logging, auditing, and so on. Built-in encryption and key management also. Microsoft provides the encryption and key management capabilities for customers to provide actually industry standard encryption and tools that meet compliant needs. And also 365 encrypts the data by default, both at rest and in transit, of course. But we can also, for additional controls, customers can encrypt their data in transit more granularly at a content level, for example, which can provide an added layer protection over on top of the TLS. Anyway, discover and respond. Discovering and managing data is actually challenging. So so the data is exploding. Yes, it is, but it's a serious challenge to the customer. So The data is in fact a challenge we face everywhere. One challenge in particular is the ability actually to discover data efficiently and cost effectively, which is just not about the data that is growing exponentially, but it's also the type of the data is also evolving. That's also the problem today. So more users are now leveraging chat-based workspaces to communicate, collaborate. We have different types of data. The types of the data that haven't been created before are now being created, and so on. Previously, we didn't have Discord. We didn't have these types of communication means and types of the files. Now we have them, and platforms as well. Different vendors. The data can be structured and unstructured. So these are all struggles. And discovering the data efficiently is top of mind of many organizations. We will also see how different things and features out there as well. In place, eDiscovery in Microsoft 365 actually is tools to do more in Microsoft 365 instead of moving data outside of tenant and security and compliance boundaries. Then you can have the data in there and provide actually eDiscovery about in Microsoft 365, which actually will get you the inside where the data is and discover the data. Do the deep crawling, indexing with advanced discovery features. We have the custodian management, for example. If we have in large organizations, which will have advanced eDiscovery capabilities, which will take advantage of them, we'll have different custodians. Actually, this is, for example, like having multiple people working on different parts of the discovery mechanism. So this is also possible. So slicing and dicing the task into multiple pieces, fields, and people that will together find out about the certain data that work on the same case. So this is also machine learning is included everywhere, as well as the possibility to retain the data. Then there's also advanced auditing, which is actually crucial to investigate the crucial events for investigators and IT admins that they need to power the investigation. So advanced audit is also there. Eventually, we have also advanced audit, which also supports the different things like high bandwidth access, for example, like double the baseline and so on. And again, we have compliance management. Let's just quickly over these numbers, and then let's take a look at the portal. Like I mentioned previously, we had this one slide that says 200 plus updates. These are even more and more today. It's really hard to keep up. And again, when customers, for example, leverage on their on-premises IT estate, they have a complete responsibility to protect the data and to implement the controls necessary to be compliant. And when they move to the cloud, of course, then of course cloud services, they lessen the burden, sometimes considerably, but still a lot of organizations actually forget that we still have a responsibility there. There's just one example of shared responsibility that NIST describes. For example, take one of the largest and most stringent security and privacy control frameworks that is used by U.S. government for national security is NIST 800-53, and so these are this privacy control and security framework actually describes a lot of different features that Microsoft actually 365 has. Anyway, companies need tools and guidance. Keeping up with new frequently updated regulations is struggle. For example, and collaboration on risk and compliance actually is inefficient, siloed. We do have tools here that will help us with that. Like starting with a very simple. It's not just like a friend of mine said, okay, we have this Microsoft Compliance Core and different scores These are just fancy dashboards that don't that are not used anywhere, that don't mean anything. Wrong. It is very important to have this score, because you don't want to get inundated in hundreds and hundreds of things that you want to that you have to think about, whether it's security, whether it's Azure, whether it's governance and compliance, whether it's endpoints and whatever it is. You have compliance score. You have to know your baseline. You have to know where what is good in order to know what is bad. And this is where your dashboards, where compliance scores, other scores actually help you, because you will see the trend, you will see the starting points of critical things to consider. But anyway, we before the end, actually we have just one more slide here that I will show you at the end of it, which is also very important. This is the one, but in fact, I would like to show you also the portal here. Let's quickly go. Yes, there it is. So we were talking about compliance and governance and whatnot here. So let's focus on these things. For example, compliance.microsoft.com is our place to go. We still have, checking the time, so 10 minutes, we're good to go. Let's see if there are any questions in there. So okay, 10 more minutes. Right. Thank you for reminding. So actually, no, it's 9. Thank you. So let's go over the compliance.microsoft.com portal. So as you visit the compliance management portal, compliance portal, then you would be presented with the home screen, where you can see the communication compliance, inside risk management, everything that is in here. It's here. You can actually add more cards or remove these. You can tailor this one. So the landing page has to give you the information, the right away information, what is going on. So whether everything is okay, where there are any policies, for example, alerts, score that we can in fact go and visit from there, Cloud Act compliance, and etc. etc. I have 2 tenants, but actually different things. We'll visit each of them so accordingly. One very important thing is in place to visit is a communication. It's compliance manager, in fact. So the compliance manager, in fact, here has the score that I mentioned previously. We have out of thousands and hundreds of these improvement points, or things that we need to address, we have the compliance manager. We have a compliance score, because first of all, we need to know how we are doing today in compared to yesterday, and how we're going how tomorrow will be compared to today's score, so whether it's higher or lower. And there are certainly hundreds of actions that we can do, but we can do only one action at once at first. What's going to be out of these, even these top 10, what will be the first one? That's why we have this impact and score. So this impact is not just a gamification feature. It's not just about okay, we are like playing a game and where we need to have a higher score. No, it's about fixing things first that bring the, I would say, the biggest bang for the buck, right? So what will be the biggest gain in less time, or which will be the biggest gain to address when we address these things? What will bring the biggest gain to us? For example, encrypting or signing data, or creating boundary protections, or protecting against potential N1 applications. It will significantly increase our governance, security, compliance, compared to some others, for example, that have a lower score, that are not important, but not as important as these. So this is extremely important part to go through and to look at. And again, these are improvement actions. So as we go there, we can see the improvement actions listed. We can, of course, sort and filter out extensively. There are a lot of them. And points achieved, there are literally, I would say, we have the data right here. 482 items. I won't go, of course, through each and every of these. But for example, consult a threat expert. Actually, review control folder access. It's something that will bring 0.1. But we will be mostly interested in addressing all of these things that actually have bigger points. For example, that are more important things to do. Anyway, this is the compliance manager, extremely important. Please take a look at these. These are extremely important things and valuable ones. And then we have solutions that will actually increase our security, our compliance score here as well as different assessments that we can do, and then the regulations that are we dealing with. Quickly, data classification is actually where we configure the data classifiers. These classifiers will classify our data, and once we have data classified, then we can do something with that. Whether it's trainable classifiers, the classifiers, the algorithms that will figure out what kind of data we're dealing with, or the ones that are built. We can see, for example, what are these and actually configure them, whether it's trainable ones or sensitive info types that are already there. These are something that we should start with. For example, we have these that are built in that need sometimes to get built, that define what kind of document we have, that will automatically discover the kind of documents that that organization are dealing with. And even if the shape of the document or position of the text actually changes, we're going to be able to detect the type of the document, because we trained the system to figure out what the document we are dealing with. And sensitive info types are the ones that we are created. So we can create, for example, different sensitive info types here, but we can also actually see the sensitive info type that, for example, that are here. So let's quickly go click in here, medical terms, and so on. These are the ones that are included, but we can also create different ones. Let's quickly go over different features. We don't have so much time, a couple of minutes. We have communication compliance. Communication compliance actually deals with governing and enforcing compliance between different parties, and making sure that we stay compliant. So this is gonna protect us from sensitive info in messages, for example, like profanity or and so on. We have also very important ones, that is the DLP, or data loss prevention. DLP actually figures out what kind of data we have based on different policies. Once we define the policies, then we can set these policies on, and these policies then will detect the actions that, for example, the users in our environment are taking. This is a little bit loading slower than usual, but oh yes, there it is. The project element, the policy. We can in fact edit the policy and see what that policy does, and where it's applied on SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams devices, different instances. These are different advanced policies that we can use, whether it's different conditions, the documents or files that can be scanned or actually tagged and protected, and the actions that we can do can be defined here once the DLP policy actually finds about that one. If we want to, of course, protect the data and label the data, then of course there's our information protection labels. Once we define the labels that define actually the type of the sensitivity of sensitivity type of the files, not file types or not file content. So these names shouldn't bear the name of the content or the files or the type of the files or the department, but actually the sensitivity. So this is the biggest mistake the companies actually do. So don't put in the type of content that is there. Just put the sensitivity, whether it's highly confidential, lower, and so on. Thank you. 1 minute. And we have information barriers, which are also very important. It's not about completely shutting down the environment, but actually is to control what can be disseminated, how the information is flowing. So, for example, human resources and financial and research shouldn't be talking to each other because of the sensitive data that can be shared. So just to prevent accidental or intentional sharing of the data, actually minimizing that compatibility can be done in here. And very important one, just the last thing to do is to configure insider risk management. Insider risk management actually deals within policy. Let's just quickly go briefly over policy template. The policy template can be can include the data theft by departing user, typical behavior, for example, like these activities here, downloading files, printing, copying, and so on. Data leaks by also identifying these activities and so on. So there is we've saw quick, very briefly, couple of these very crucial and important insider risk management topics. This is getting started because we just crashed the service. We just got started with it. There is a lot of the things in here, like privacy risk management here, different types of the data that can be discovered, where the data resides, and so on. But that is the theme and the topic for another in-depth Microsoft 365 governance and compliance. So if you want to know more about security, Microsoft 365, Microsoft compliance, if you want to have a personalized or a more in-depth presentation or solution, please don't hesitate to contact. And I'm sure you are enjoying the conference. Unfortunately, I would like to talk about 5 hours or 8 hours about that. I have only had 45 minutes. But thanks to all of the sponsors here, because I'm 1 minute overdue. Thanks to all sponsors. Thanks to everyone who joined the session. Please get in contact if you want to know more about it. There is a lot more. Enjoy the conference. It's a very nice conference, great speakers, great sessions, and feel free to, stay till the end. There are some nice prizes to be won. So thanks a lot for being here. And the next session in this track is get to optimal configuration and design phish simulation training using MDO. So take a look at this one. Thanks a lot.